Let me extend greetings to all of you, professional media practitioners, the general Liberian public, and those that are joining us via the radio stations, ELBC, Crown FM, and a host of other community radio stations that are relaying a government press conference across the country. It's a pleasing duty for me. It's always an honor to man this podium, in discharge of our duties as the entity that supervises and direct communication for the government of Liberia. At today's press briefing, we are going to follow the usual format of the protocol remains the same. We have two distinguished gentlemen in the lady. Come from the National Commission on Arms. It used to be like a small arms commission, but we changed the law now, so it's the National Commission on Arms. My own big brother is Ben Wama. He's here with one of the commissioners with the proper introduction of the master podium. And of course, we have somebody who assumed the responsibility here at the Ministry of Information, who have been very frequent. I think the media was to honor officials who made maximum use of this platform. That honor will be backed by Mr. Josiah Tokai, the Director General of the CSA. All of the reforms that the CSA implemented, those reforms were launched and well articulated on this platform. We want to encourage all officials of government. You can do more than what Mr. Judah has done. With this platform that has helped to explain to the people, made the people to understand the importance, the necessity of the reforms that are leading the CFA to where we are today. So it's good to have you, Minister Pia, to make some very critical remarks on pertinent issues about the country. We heard out there that the US government, as a result of their own foreign policy objective, they issued some restrictions, which is quite unsustainable. That action, as always, and as expected, is then misinterpreted by some of our friends who have been very unpatriotic, giving the relationship between America and Liberia, and giving the number of Liberians that have connection with people in America, the way they have misinterpreted the latest action by the US government. It's not just for politics, but it speaks to the extent to which politics has eroded the sense of belonging. So I would not want to let it cat out of the bag. The minister is loaded, he's ready to speak. So now,
except that we have multiple speakers, we should make the introductory comment short. So in case we have enough time to almost 30 minutes into the press conference. So pay attention to the time, make it short. But quickly, before wasting time, since I've already established that the time is fast spent, I will start with the first issue he mentioned. But what I will do first is to read what is the government's position. Yesterday, we're in contact with the Minister of Foreign Affairs. She and I were back to back. We established the initial response of the government, which we advised that they issued since this was foreign relation matter, and that we could further elevate it after they've done so. So as a result of that, an agreed upon statement from the government of Liberia was issued last by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I will read that and probably make some additional comments. Not part of the scripture release that I issued. So that says the Ministry of Foreign Affairs informs the public the government of the United States has announced an indefinite pause in the processing of certain immigrant visas for nationals of 75 countries, including Liberia. This measure is scheduled to take effect on January 21st, 2026, and is a part of a review of U.S. visa screening and vetting procedures under the public charge rule. The ministry wishes to clearly emphasize that this pause applies only to immigrant visas and does not affect non-immigrant visas. Tourist, business, student, exchange, and all temporary visas continue to be processed. An existing valid visa remain valid and are not cancelled. The pause affects only visas that will lead to permanent residence called green card, otherwise in the United States, including family-based, employment-based, diversity visa, and other immigrant classifications. It does not constitute a ban on U.S. visa for Liberian citizens. The government of Liberia recognizes the potential impact on citizens seeking permanent residence and is engaging the U.S. authorities through diplomatic channels to seek clarification on the scope and duration of the pause and to advocate for fair consideration of Liberian applicants. As of last night, the ministry could confirm that even interviews for immigrant visa will continue unhindered. Only the issuance of the immigrant visa is paused, pending new guidelines to be issued by the government of the United States of America. The ministry encourages the public to rely on official updates. Non-immigrant travel for tourism, for study, for business remains open. And Liberians with valid visa may continue to travel lawfully. Here are the other comments that I want to add. For a good number of years, Liberians play DV. Winners of DV are issued immigrant visas. They are considered successful and pass through all the processes. There are multiple Liberian families who are immigrants in the United States of America. These families in trying to benefit all members of their family. For example, there are male Liberian citizens in the U.S. who are married to Liberian citizens here. That was also a way of that as well. So there are married men in America who married to Liberian citizens here. That they file in for and will do different processes for. To join them. Remittances from America and from other parts of the world are in the million annually. all these positivities, that process that took multiple Liberians to America, and that got the potential to take more than is being paused. And then some people, like they have no conscience, like they've been swallowed by hate and negativity, including people who rely on people in the US to get their money. Everyone to get it. Celebrate that in an attempt to interpret it as an action targeted at the government of Liberia. And you're supposed to call these kinds of people Liberians? There's no way you can make or remake the history of our country. If you were here yesterday, and America sanctioned you, it was about you. They didn't sanction the country. They did not even sanction the government of Liberia or President Weah. They sanctioned criminal elements of that administration. And those criminal elements are living with the scares of those actions. Even though some of them are attempting to make it a very nothing has happened to them. They move from radio station to radio station, they didn't hear it, believing that they are having conversation. And they try to have a mix of interpretation to say, oh, they said this thing happened to the last year, it's happening today. Nothing happened to anybody. The choices that come with immigrant visa initiative are questionable, they're not government based. The government does not tell your husband to send for the wife or to send for the children. Those are questionable immigration initiatives. In every country, irrespective of the bilateral relationship they have with you, on their own national security and other concerns that they will always work on, even in the midst of having excellent bilateral relationship with you. You hear someone and hear, oh, they say Liberia and America can go with you, why they pausing immigrant visa? Immigrant visa is not a government targeted situation. When you go in for your immigrant visa, you know, you're not government who can get it. You don't even know about it. I lived in the US for a while. And the current leadership of the country, both when they were in and out of government, they don't believe that the way immigrant visas have been worked on in the past is okay. In fact, at some point they believe that the people who should be granted immigrants still go to America, you should have master's degree on. And people country. If they say we want these people that will come here to be seen so calibrated, how is that a government issue or anybody thing to run around with? So in the midst of all the different opinions they have, the same policies and do a review. They do their review and they decide to resume, they will, not by our dictates, not by what we want. And how is it about Liberia in particular? Didn't you hear that it's 75 countries? Have you seen the names of some of those countries? Strong countries from Europe, from Asia, from different parts of the world, with excellent relationship with the United States. Like I can pray that Liberia has an excellent relationship with America. What does that do? What does that have to do with people who we choose to want to go live in America? Only the Americans decide who will go to the country. That is why those of you who are seeking visa not to go and live in America, that no family member have filed for you, that your children are not filed for you, but you just want to do the regular visiting that has been happening, that process remains open. And when you apply for it, also you can even get 3-year visa because they took that action on Liberia. Our visa validity ran from 1 year, or 3 and 6 months, we need to give some people, to up to 3 years. Who gets the 3 years? It's purely at the discretion of the counselor that you face at the embassy. So the child will go there and get 3 years visa. Then you go there, you get 2 years. Nobody goes there, you get 1 year. Nobody will get 6 years. You know what they say? When you apply for non-immigrant visa, the visa they can issue a range between 3 months to up to 3 years. It remains in force. It remains intact. But because we're so negative, one of the first media institutions that reported the news last night, I don't know how many you saw the headline. US issue suspension on all visas. All. You can't attempt to be disingenuous. You can't reread people's statement on their behalf. How is it that a suspension of processing immigrant visa is equal to suspension of all visa processing? So if you didn't nobody in the country can read, they will not see what was issued. They will follow you, and whatever you read, because you only use people that can tell story properly. I've always said, and I will close on this. Before each of you seated here, in journalists, you're Liberians first. If your journalistic desire, especially those who want to be appetite to tell lies and misinform the public, overshadows the established fact that you are a Liberian and that you owe a patriotic duty to your country, continue. But just be reminded that whenever you tell your lies, you'll be ready on this point. Tell you that you are lying and to provide a counterfeit. Don't be when secretly send a good message, oh, they rock for happy man ready. When something happens to them, then you celebrate it. You don't even understand what people pass through in America. People work hard for their living. You live on their sweat and blood. Anything that affects them calls for celebration on your part. If you're in a cubicle, believing that relationship between the current Liberian government and that of the United States will be strained along the line, you got a long time to wait. Because it will not happen. There will be no adverse U.S. action targeted against the Liberian government. Officials of the government will not be sanctioned as your officials were sanctioned. The things you didn't get will get it, including the second company that is coming. And we'll keep an excellent relationship with the United States. That is why we say, even acknowledging and accepting the position of the United States government, we continue to engage diplomatically. We count on the excellent relation we have with them. And there will be fruits of those engagements and advocacy. Watch out for it. Why are you worried about America? We have a country that will take care. If this country is okay, maybe many of us will not take care of going to another person's country. So we take into due consideration all of the other things, including our international relations. But we continue to do what we're supposed to do here to change this country. Here you see I've been doing a good job. We want to announce that they have taken the activities of electrifying our country to another level during this period. I know there have been people here who've asked about, okay, you're doing street light, we're going to see street light on the Somalia Drive, we're going to see street light. So all those places are now being worked on as we speak. The entire single belt, street lights are in advance. Somalia Drive in advance. They are taking it from the new bridge straight to Simple Bridge. Doing it in Banjo, doing it all across Simple. Every portion of Monrovia that has been left out of the street identification process. That exercise has commenced now. It's ongoing in a couple of weeks. Every corner you pass in this capital will be well lighted. Everywhere. The final work we have to do on the RIA highway has been delayed due to shipment issue. We have a serious challenge with shipping things here. So most of the times we observe that the time given for the arrival of the things that we ship here, we keep shifting. So we did the identification around the highway. 2 weeks later, we should have all the equipment that was needed, the additional poles to complete the identification. There's been shipping issue. So there's a new deadline of the 29th of this month. All the poles, not the lights are here. All the poles that are needed to complete the identification of the RIA road will be in Ghana on the 29th. It is estimated that 1 week later, they will arrive in Monrovia. Work will then begin immediately. And the end of the road coming from RIA to where the pavement starts on the 4 lane, as well as the remaining gaps from here they're moving downward, will all be worked on. And you will see that entire corridor lighted as we want it to be. While that is happening, the Ministry of Public Works is advancing in its road works. Now that the rains have ceased a little bit, if you live Broadville, you know that when you're traveling along from town to Broadville, the road work has been commenced. Development of proper drainages before actually laying the asphalt on the road. And we'd like to also inform you that the stretch of the road that runs from the new bridge to Freeport, which will be done by the Japanese, have not started because the procurement process is still ongoing. The recruitment of the contractor, the procurement process itself, the awarding of the contract, and the actual commencement of the work, all of those are the responsibility of the Japanese government. It's that money that they were giving us so that we spend it to do the road. It's money that they themselves spend to do the road. So it is because of the delay of the procurement process that's the reason why the road has not started, as we announced it would have by December, November, December. The Ministry of Public Works has been asked to send a team to Japan to be part of the concluding processes for the awarding of that contract. And once all of those processes are finished, the work will commence. Their technology is different, so they don't care about rain. By raining, they'll be doing the road. So don't be too worried about it. When the real estate guy here, they will not start. No, rain is not a factor for them. They've advanced in technology and in the quality of work that they do. That's the reason why, as short as that road is, costing 20 million. Yeah, around 18, 20 million. Short road, I think 1.5 or 1.8 miles. But at the quality of road, 1 billion of money. If you want to add them to get that money, go build road somewhere else, you can get plenty of miles out of it. But what they want to do, and we can't question the quality of what they want to get. So a real sunshine, more for you. When they start, they start. So you see that corridor being worked on. That's the reason why we're doing our part. Since from Freeport to Simport Bridge was not a part of that project, the government is doing so. So by the time they're ready to start their home, we'll be finished already straight up to Simport Bridge. They conclude your home. You drive from Broad Street straight up to Simport Bridge, paved road, and then one of the pivotal arrangement will start the construction. Clay, top number, and the whole world side. We just wanted to provide you update on that so that we don't spend our time talking about what other countries doing to control immigration into their country, and also focus on what is happening here. Also, I've just been told that with regards to what I said about what America will continue to do here, there's a visiting delegation from the NCC that is in the country. They are currently holding a meeting at the Ministry of Finance with officials of that ministry. So it just tells you that everything is working. So while you're thinking the country is being punished, in your own little thinking, every other thing that's supposed to benefit the country from that angle, from the American people, are continuing. We announced the other day that the infrastructure conference will start on the 19th to the 23rd. I see an update only a year, but I don't think we should waste time on it, even though it appears to be detailed as to what should be happening at the conference. We should not go through that now because I know so I don't want to kill a time for them. So, Mr. Sanders, we'll pause this for another day. The National Legislature is ensuring the conclusion of preparation for the hosting of the President's annual message. By constitutional mandate, the Liberian leader is required to address the legislature on the fourth working Monday of every year. The address will focus on the assessment of the state of the nation and the macroeconomic outlook, concentrating on how the government is stabilizing growth, controlling inflation, and strengthening fiscal health. A lot has happened since the last address as we've advanced governance, ensure reform, expanded decentralization, intensify anti-corruption efforts, and instituted sound public financial management control with enhanced national security reform to protect rights while ensuring the safety of all Liberians. These and many more will be properly catalogued when the President mounts the podium at the National Legislature on the fourth working Monday of January. Quickly, the NAFA and the government partner have held a high-level strategic meeting to develop a consultative roadmap for the inaugural National Fishery Investment Conference 2026. It is scheduled to take place from March 30th to 31st at the Farmington Hotel in Maigidi. At that meeting, which was held at NAFA headquarters, it brought together multiple government ministries and agencies to discuss collaborative mechanisms to enhance the conference value and outcomes of the Liberian fisheries sector. Mr. Sarah Sibe, who is the Managing Director or Director General, called down the conference objective, mainly to unlock Liberia's blue horizon, attracting policymakers, investors, and best practices to foster sustainable value addition in the sector. The LWSC, that the Liberia Water Sewer Corporation, announced that it's facing a severe climate emergency that is damaging its infrastructure through flooding, extreme rainfall, and sea level rise. This disrupts services, it increases costs, and heightens health risks. As per this, the LWFC Managing Director has reported progress on governance reforms and on climate adaptation priorities, such as resilient infrastructure and renewable energy. He has expressed optimism that these measures will improve financial sustainability in line with IMF support programs. The government has expanded its national KDF program also with LWS. They've recruited some youth as cadets. They have been assigned to the corporation for 3 months in specialized departments including plumbing, biodigester, IT, and environmental science to gain practical experience on the job. And quickly, to conclude, we, as a government, We encourage civil society actors who are interested in the governance process and are giving their own interpretation of what they believe has happened. Our work is not to jump up and down in debate with them. It's to listen and see what they say, do a comparative analysis in our own situation room to know what they say versus what the realities are as we enhance and improve government. So we're not going to be yelling back and forth with people. So in this regard, I want to acknowledge the latest report that was issued now reviewing the 2-year performance of the Waka administration. That civil society group highlighted the strides made by the government in our belief. Whatever they said is what they said. And whatever we know we're doing is what we know we're doing. They need people to know what we're doing and to make determination of what we're not doing. Children from been sleeping in one part of America in Thailand for the last 30 years. All the sorry having right to enjoy correct medical service. Then you leave that program and say, you got one group report that say this, so that why you follow. If each of you sitting here been buying bag of rest for $20 and you buying it for $14, and you waiting for one report from somebody to tell me whether something happening, thanks be to God. If the roads are leading to the different places you live, they're almost non-existent, they're all being paved now. Your own eyes can see, feel, but somebody got to tell you that something happening or something not happening. Thanks be to God. And we can go on meaning all the sectors where we think things are happening. But we acknowledge the report that we wanted to remain focused on what they've been called to do independently. We will not interfere. And we will not force with them for whatever report they come out. Because all these different things put together makes a government to work with them. What we're interested in is a government that will work for our country.
Well, Minister Pierre, I want to say that I'm excited
of the
the transformation of this one is something that everyone who mounts this podium has to say something about. And I want to say that you and your team are doing exceedingly well here at the ministry, from downstairs to upstairs. I saw all the changes and transformation, and we are deeply honored by that. And I want to assure you that just as we did from 2024 to 2025, the Civil Service Agency is committed to coming here and informing the Liberian people, keeping them well positioned in terms of information dissemination about our stewardship. As you know, Mr. Minister, the President charges us to ensure that there's accountability, there's integrity, and transparency in every aspect of the work that he's mandated us to do. So, this platform, I want to tell you, establishes the basis for all of us in government to be accountable to the Liberian people. My dear colleagues from the Liberian National Commission on Arms, and as a matter of fact, I don't know how it happened, but I worked for the Liberian National Commission on Arms before, but then it was the Small Arms Commission. I used to be the coordinator, what is now the executive director in their new height. So I just want to say to the Vice Chair, Ben, and the Commissioner, Mr. Zobe, it's an honor to be sharing the platform with you today here. Deputy Minister Sano, and that also I want to say, I don't know if I should say it, Assistant Minister, or I think the Assistant Minister, the team from CSA, and I see the team from the LANCA, Liberian National Commission, our dear friend, the media. Without you guys, we would not be here because we can't be talking to ourselves. Knowledge, information travels through you, and that makes you very critical, very important in our national development efforts. I want to congratulate you for working with the CSA for the past 2 years. I think it's been very rewarding, mutually rewarding. So I want to thank you, and I want to say Happy New Year to everybody. wish you a happy and prosperous 2026. So Minister, I want to use this opportunity to provide workforce insights from 2025 to the Liberian people on various aspects. And I think this is critical because they deserve it. They need to know what has happened to the workforce since we took over, and especially for the past year, 2025. I will give you some critical insights. Satisfaction is very important, you know. Mental health is very important for any employee, whether in the public or the private sector. So this government being a pro-worker and a pro-family government, meaning that it places premium on the interests, the well-being of its employees. Because it is the employees that keep the fulcrum of the government turning. So the Civil Service Agency initiated several financial empowerment and welfare initiatives in 2025. And then paramount among those, I'll begin with the legal power of attorney, the LPA. We all know the history, you heard some, you follow us, so some of our vendor stores. And let me thank you for that, the media. So we've been able to automate fully the legal power of attorney, and today I want to announce that effective immediately, the paper-based version of the LPA that have existed even before I was born. That paper-based process is hereby discontinued. No, the paper-based process is not going to work anymore because the automated system is in full operation. And we're going to make that formal by doing a circular to all the 100 spending entities of government. So it means that now you don't have to go to stores from store to stores to look for pro forma invoices. All you have to do is to know what you want, what you need, what items you need. Once you are enrolled, our teams have been going from ministry to agency to commission, enrolling employees, and also configuring our customers, point of sale, POS, LPA machines, configuring them, and then making sure that we enroll all of the vendors and the businesses that will be providing the items to our people. We have enrolled a significant number of employees, but we're encouraging others to do so. If the team has already done your entity and you are not enrolled, just come to the CSA. We have a desk that's responsible to have you enrolled. So once you are enrolled biometrically, when you appear in the store where you're going to take your items, you will only be verified. That's all through the biometric process, the fingerprint. They bring the machine to you and you are verified. Once you are verified, all your information will come out. And the credit that your HR, Human Resource Director, has given you will show up in the machine. Meaning, if they give you $600, $700 credit to take items to that amount, it's going to show up there. So that's how the entire system is set up. And once you are verified, you go about taking all your items. You just take everything that you need based on the credit that you have, and you walk out of the store. The rest is doing the Civil Service Agency on behalf of the government and the banks and the Ministry of Finance. So that's how it works. It's smooth, it's smart, it's fast than ever before. And this is part of our e-governance commitments to the Liberian people, because the transformation now is very significant as far as e-governance is concerned. Part of what we have done to make your life easier, we've had long-term loans, but those long-term loans with commercial banks have been just for 12 months, that's 1 year. Some has been for a year and a half. I learned at Bloom Bank is just started doing 2 years. But we launched this massive long-term loan scheme, and the facility will be for 3 to 5 years. Meaning now that you can take a loan, the measure of your choice, and within the scope of your income, because there has to be a commitment to repay. And the Civil Service Agency, that's what we enter the agreement with the bank, is the Afriland Bank, and that process has started. I was in the store and an employee met me and she was so excited. And I said, what's going on? And she said, Dr. Joker, you don't know what you guys have done. I've received the 60% of my loan, and that's the US component, and she was there with the 40% of her loan. So that means that you can take the amount of your choice within that range and build a house and purchase whatever you want to get, something remarkable. You are able to undertake a project. You are able to start your small scale business. That's the kind of empowerment. When we say pro-government, pro-worker and pro-family government, that's what we mean. So we've initiated that, and other banks are going to follow suit. We were also able to do the salary advance. There are 2 banks that are doing it now, but yesterday, during my engagement with about 7 of the commercial banks on how we are proceeding this year, some of the banks confirmed, even Bloom Bank confirmed that the bank gave me salary advance, 50%, and the bank giving it for like 50% salary, taking up to half of the salary, and the bank giving it for 1% interest. Bloom Bank yesterday. So these financial empowerment initiatives are intended to give you the desired satisfaction that you need to keep you focused on the job. And also to satisfy our side of the deal as a government, because we have social contract responsibility with all of you. So on the payroll management side, the Civil Service Agency and the Ministry of Finance have made significant progress. I'm pleased to report that as I stand here, the Comptroller and Accountant General of the Republic of Liberia is currently at the Civil Service Agency. And anybody listening to me, if you want to test that goal right now, you will see him in my office in Another. He's sitting with the CSA team and its entire team. We are now putting in place the standard operating procedures for effective payroll management. You think we did well in terms of paying civil servants on time, improving the process, but it's even going to be better in 2026. So we're putting our SOP in place so that everybody plays their role and that we don't have issues with civil service failing in 2026 and address some of the issues that we experienced last year. Let me tell you that this government delivered on its commitment. When we started in 2025, I stood here and told you that the government was going to initiate the process of integrating long-term volunteers in the health and education sectors into the national payroll system. This government made a commitment by making the money available in the 2025 budget, fiscal year budget. And I'm pleased to report that we've integrated 3,406 combined, both for education and health. So here's what happened. In the education sector, we got 2,148 teachers who were volunteers, some for 5 years, some for 6 years, embedded in the culture of the education system. I'm talking about professionals. Many of them with the professionally required certificates. Many of them with certificates acquired internationally. They volunteered. And that was so unfair for so many years to them. Those teachers, 2,148, we put them on the payroll. Working with the Ministry of Education, we put them on the payroll. It's a life-changing moment for those people. It's the first time they knew what being on payroll looks like, feels like. The Monrovia Consolidated School System, when we went to verify, in the list that was given to us, 704 volunteer teachers, we verified, and we ended up with only 459 with clear arrest. Many of them were just names, not human beings. Some of them, when we ran the list through our national payroll system, we realized that some of them were working with other entities and claiming that it was volunteer teachers. So we took them off the payroll, those payrolls. So the 459, we immediately requested the Ministry of Finance to create allotment. Graciously, the Ministry of Finance created allotment for 208 in 2025. 208 of the verified teachers. If you go right now, you will see the classroom teacher. the allotment was created, the civil service agency wasted no time, requested for the personnel action notices. Those 28 volunteer teachers were put on the payroll in 2025. They took pay up to December, and they will be taking pay from this January. The 251 remaining from the 459, those ones who requested allotment from the Ministry of Finance, we didn't receive their allotment. I must say that here publicly. And I must apologize on behalf of the civil service agency and government. We did not receive their allotment. We have not received their allotment. We also asked the Monrovia Consolidated School System to send off the personnel action notices of the remaining 251. We are yet to receive them. So it's not on the civil service agency. So this 2026, we have given reassurance to ourselves that the 251 will be processed, because the 251 are real human beings. They are people in the classroom. Some of them have been there for 4 years, for 5 years. And it will interest you to know that I also volunteered for MCSS before teaching MCSS school, but I never knew what payroll was by then. And I never got on the payroll until I left the MCSS school system. But this time it doesn't have to be that way. All those volunteer teachers are going to be placed on the payroll. In the health sector, we brought so many people. The number are supposed to be 1,829. All of them receive pay in December. But here's the point. The last batch, 829, because we cleared them in December, and the payroll had already closed. So we had a special arrangement to pay them. We paid 829. But they are not on the system. So we brought them on the system. They were not on the system at the time, so they're not going to be accounted for in the number. So we now brought them onto the payroll, national payroll system, meaning that they all will be taking pay. So in actuality, the health sector, it was 1,879 that we brought on. But in our reports for 2025, we are accounting for 1,000. To be very clear, because we have to be transparent and very accurate with the numbers in the report. That is what we have done, Mr. Minister, with payroll integration. And Mr. Minister, I've never seen that courage demonstrated by any government since I started understanding how government works. Nobody has done that. No government has done that. It is this government that has done that. And before the year ended, the Civil Service Agency again received more than 2,000 personnel action notices from jointly vetted healthcare workers across the country, in all the counties. We have those personnel action notices that our team is going to begin to scrutinize, to review for possible consideration for integration. Because you know what? Healthcare is very important. If our people are not healthy, nothing happens in the country. Education is critical. Without the requisite manpower, you cannot do any transformation, any development. We cannot do the things we do here. These things were done by educated, professional people. We have to keep developing our people. So, Mr. Minister, we are well on course with integration. Employment salary top up. Every day, people crying about, the issue of the harmonization and the salary reduction that they experience and everything. Yes, the government is hearing your cry, but we have to do in segments. When we did the analysis on just doing one-time salary top-up in keeping with people pay grade and classification, that was going to cost the government additional, in different phases, 3 scenarios. It was going to cost the government around 19 million, it cost the government around 20 something. You don't have the money to do that right now. The government is having so many priorities, the roads that are very important for our people to know. Electricity, we can see them. These are tangibles that government is investing in. So we are doing it in segment to improve the wages and salaries. So we targeted the health, the education, the agriculture, and security sectors. Mr. Minister, I report that in 2025, the government tapped up the salaries of essential workers in all 4 sectors with 23,588 employees benefit, 23,588. We're talking about professionals, educationalists, security officers. We're talking about the people in the agriculture sector, bringing on extension officer professionals for whom we're paying money, but people did not exist. We work with the Ministry of Agriculture to clear all those things and put real human beings to work. When we're talking about agribusiness, talking about transforming agriculture, sector, the security sector, police officers, who were way down there making $9 making for product, nobody is making less than $150 an hour on this game. Those who were around 150 will probably up around 225. Those who were around 225 now probably around $350. And these are not just numbers we are throwing. These numbers were based on analysis, the pay grade range to make sure you remain within the scope. That's what we're doing. Again, here we launched a historic testing center. We announced it here. On July 28th, it was launched. People started to sit the civil service exams. So, Minister, I'm pleased to report that 550 Nigerians sat the test in 2025. 550. And I can tell you that those who took the test and passed, we have not exhausted all yet, but many of them have been exhausted. I can give you a classic example. You go to National Disaster Management, Ruth. She was one of the first that took the test. She was one of the first one. She passed. I even have a YouTube video on the first ladies that passed the test. The other lady also has been deployed at the Ministry of Gender. She took it for HR management because that's her specialty, and she passed it. And we deployed her. Ruth took it also in the administrative area at National Disaster Management. Over, I'm naming the places so that you journalists can follow her. Eric Murphy. He's at the WASH Commission. He took it, he's a procurement specialist. He took the test, he passed it, he's deployed. And this is what we intend to do going forward. So that people who come into the public service, they are professional people who will help the government to deliver on this need. Mr. Minister, when we took over, I reported here in 2024 and 2025 that this government reconstituted the Board of Appeal. Very critical for the civil service. It brings back confidence, trust, that you're doing your job and you're not looking over your shoulders, that nobody can just dismiss you arbitrarily. Yes, you have a redressal. So when we reconstituted that, civil servants started having the confidence of bringing complaints to the CSA. More than 214 complaints were received. We have resolved several of them. We have reinstated up to 71 as of the reporting period, or it's more than that, almost 80 number, up to 71 that we have on the records. We have reinstated to say you were fired arbitrarily, wrongly, you were suspended arbitrarily, wrong. And these are in the laws. We're not creating them, we're not making them. To ensure protection of civil servants so that they work, without any second thought that anybody will just fire you, will take advantage of you or stuff. And we are also making sure that they too are accountable to their bosses. Because, where you violate any of the regulations of the rules, and the minister can attest to that, yeah, we're not sure with that. Yeah, so that has been done. There is a grievance complaint management, there is a complete accountability system. Now it has brought trust and confidence, it has strengthened the trust and confidence, job security, and making sure that it boosts the morale of civil servants. And people are confident, they do their job, the way it's supposed to be done. When we're talking about accountability and transparency, Mr. Minister, you can recall that in February of 2025, His Excellency President Joseph Boakai Sr. Suspended more than 400 government officials, and immediately he suspended those officials on the same day. I think 2 or 3 hours following, the Civil Service Agency went to the Nigerian Anti-Corruption Commission website. We pulled down the list of all the government officials concerned, and we blocked the salaries for February. Those whose salaries were already approved to be paid in March, we blocked them in March. As a minister, we created an escrow account working with the Ministry of Finance at the Central Bank of Nigeria. And we work with the MFDP to move those funds into the escrow account. The total as of the bank balance that we provided to His Excellency the President was a little over $90,000 that we used. The President gave us a mandate that honored his One Child, One Chair project, presidential initiative. We should produce chairs for school-going children using that money. As a minister, I'm pleased to report to the Liberian people that the first phase of the project was completed, which, Honorable Minister, you were a part of the ceremony. We produced a total of 525 decent, high quality metal and wooden chairs. The pictures are all around with the president, with the first lady sitting there, on the chairs, and they demonstrated. And that is a demonstration of accountability and also service delivery. We provided chairs using our money. It sent a message that when people are responsible to perform certain tasks or to take the lead in providing leadership, accountability must start with you. And that's what we did. So I want to say, I haven't seen that also. It's my first time. A government that is investigating itself and punishing its members at the same time. When you're looking for the real definition of accountability, I think this is it. It's living right here in our country with this government. That's what happened. So, Mr. Minister, when it comes to the workforce insights in terms of the numbers, last year we reported that based on all our actions, we ended up with 60,900 in terms of the workforce. That's it. And we ended with 2024 with 60,900 in 2024. It's in our annual report, it's on our website. I know a lot of analysts, I know many of them from different places have having their own numbers through here on that, right? But what we wrote is clear, it's simple. No ambiguities. It's in the report. And that's why everything we do is public. We ended up with that after we inherited 67,746, the workforce. We ended up, after all of our actions, we ended up with 60,900 in 2024. As a minister, in 2025, we ended up with 63,130. And I will tell you why. It's so easy to understand. Look at the people we brought on board. These are not names that we just put on board with flat rates to give money to certain people who don't work for government. No. These are not names of people, we just decided to go through the roof this ceiling and put them on payroll to give them money. These are professionals embedded in the cultures of the sectors for which they work. These are the people who are contributing to the change that is happening in our country. So when we bring the caliber of people of such magnitude on the payroll, then it means that the government is serious about its delivery of services to the Nigerian people. So what are the numbers? Let me break that number down. 63,130. Mr. Minister, of that number, civil servants are 59,018. 59,018, and that constitutes 93.4% of the workforce. Civil servants constitute 59,018, and that constitutes 93.4%. Mr. Minister, appointed officials of the workforce, and I'm saying this because we account for them, we have the payroll with all these people, both appointed officials and civil servants. The payroll is managed by the civil service agency. So we just grab a number from somewhere. Yeah. Yes. So appointed officials account for 4,112. 4,112. And that constitutes 6.5%. 6.5%. So the 93.4% and 6.5% is out the 100% of the workforce that are shared. What is the gender implication in terms of distribution? So let's take the civil servants, 59,000. Of that number, 45,277 or 76.7% are males. That's what we have in our workforce. 45,277 or 76.7% are male. 13,000 only, 13, and I will put only there because my specialty is in diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'm a PhD, and I'm always concerned about that. 13,000, only 13,741 are females, or 23.2% are female. it means there's serious gender implication, meaning that a lot has to be done. Why do we use numbers? The Civil Service Agency, all our decisions are based on data. So with this information, we know what kind of interventions to undertake to bridge the gap between the males and females within our workforce. Officer, Minister, when you take the appointed officials into consideration, 4,112, which is 6.5%. The gender distribution is as follows. You have 3,509 constituting male, and that constitutes 85.3%. 85.3%. Then you have 603, or 14.6%. That constitutes the females. So, Mr. Minister, that's the workforce insight that we are providing to the Liberian people as we start another phase, 2026. But let me say that the Civil Service Agency also was elected as chairman of the Health and Public Service Network of Africa. The current chairman of that Network of Africa is Your Honorable Seven, the Director General of the Civil Service Agency. And I have been to Addis Ababa to present Liberia's model of public workers integration into the national payroll system, how Liberia is doing it, and how Liberia is succeeding. I was able, as a panelist, to address the ministers of Africa and the Caribbean to present Liberia's model that right now they are borrowing from and replicating in their countries. These accountability initiatives that we are taking has gone across our borders. Liberia is doing that. I also chair the first meeting in Kigali of members of the network to talk about how we can improve the services to healthcare workers in our country. Again, Liberia's model stood out. That's what we presented. So all of the conversations we are having here, as the minister was discussing about the visa implication and how it's being perceived, and how people, have lost nationalistic thoughts and all kinds of things about their own country. And I like the way the minister put it. You are talking against the government and holding the government accountable for that. Some of them in a derogatory way, in a denigrating manner. You could even be a potential candidate to benefit from some of those services. Of course. So Liberia has made a significant impact. Also, as I stand here in Addis Ababa in my second meeting, Liberia was elected to lead the establishment of the ECOWAS Public Service Commission's framework. We are going to fight to bring West African countries here to initiate the discussion and to have a Monrovia declaration that will establish that framework that will bring all public service commissions of governments across West Africa. Liberia is taking that leadership. And this is happening because of the progressive, the robust reforms that we are instituting in our public service. On that note, I want to stop and once again, thank you, the media. You are doing exceptionally well. We can have our discussions, our differences, but that is the importance of democracy, creating the environment, the platform where we can have the exchange of ideas constructively, and then that contributes significantly to the forward march of our country. Mr. Minister, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, of course.
Two of my statement,
Yes, because
because I want to acknowledge the fact that
actually,
I have a boss who
Wemo is the vice chairman of the arms.
purpose of accuracy
Actually,
do it as exactly as
on
it is
fiscal
going.
arms registration process
Sometimes
taking place in
you don't alter something,
but also
the question
get
arises,
upgrade for the home
you
base
ask yourself,
version.
why didn't I read both sides
This is about national security. The subject matter in very cardinal terms. That being said, the Honorable Minister of Information and Cultural Affairs, my friend and brother, Matthew Peter, that I was the General of the Civil Service Agency, all officials of government, my colleague, President Commissioner, lawyer, members of the team, the Library Commission on Arms, members of the Fourth Estate, our esteemed citizens of the Republic of Nigeria, as well as foreign residents, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Let me begin by extending my thanks and appreciation to the Almighty God for His wonderful blessings to us as a nation as well as individually. And again, express a blessed and prosperous New Year 2026 to the Honorable Minister Jeremiah Matthew Peter and the Bika family. Let me also express similar Happy New Year to you members of the press. Over the years, the press has played critical roles in advancing the social, economic, political, and cultural developments of our country. Even during the most pivotal times. I'm very delighted, as always, to represent the chairman of the Arms Commission of Nigeria, Honorable James M. Fromina, an astute character and statesman who has strongly served this country for more than 40 years. I'm also thankful to my friend and brother, Honorable Jeremiah Matthew Peter, Minister of Information and Cultural Affairs, for giving us this unique platform to talk about one of the excessive or rewarding activities of the Commission on Arms. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, today we are with the President of the Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Joseph Imon Exchange, on 24th February 2025, signed an Executive Order 141, mandating the Arms Commission of Nigeria to register all firearms in possession of civilians for a period of 1 year. Besides, the Commission turns to the Executive Order by President Walker as essential government decision meant to strengthen national security and to ensure public safety by refusing illicit firearms, including military style weapons. Distinguished members of the press, let me also inform you that the Board of Commissioners of the Arms Commission, in their wisdom, believe that the Executive Order number 141 is consistent and aligned with Nigeria's obligation as a state party to global and regional terms and arms control treaties, such as the United Nations Arms Trade Treaty, the ATT, and the ECOWAS Convention on Small Arms and Light Weapons South. The Civilian Arms Registration Exercise, members of the press, is a legal process which is cardinally preventing, managing, and controlling the illicit flow of small arms and light weapons into the borders of Nigeria and beyond. Legal registration of firearms is imperative to national development. This is because states who have record of those in possession of firearms, the ones it is misused, traceability is easier. For the purpose of history and reliance, the ECOWAS Convention was adopted in Abuja, Nigeria in 1996. Chapter 4, Article 24, in summary indicates, among other things, that heads of state and government shall establish national commissions for the fight against the illicit proliferation and circulation of live weapons in individual countries and the region as a whole. In this direction, the Liberia National Commission on Arms is one of the most important efforts by the government of Nigeria in the implementation of the 2006 ECOWAS Convention on Small Arms and Live Weapons and the United Nations Action on Small Arms. Before I expand on the Commission's mandate on arms control, the immediate past government in 2022 enacted a law establishing the Liberia National Commission on Arms, also with an amended firearms control law. This means that the Commission is the national competent authority with the mandate to formulate policies and ensure the implementation of such policies and measures aimed at addressing the problems of proliferation, diversion, illicit trade, manufacturing, use, distribution, possession, and trafficking of all conventional arms, coordinating and monitoring of all private and public sector efforts to prevent, combat, and eradicate the proliferation, diversion, illicit trade, transfer, transshipment, transit in all conventional arms and weapons within the global. Distinguished members of the press, Liberia has demonstrated goodwill to be signatory to both global and regional treaties, and in keeping with treaties, it is just important for us as a people and government to implement some essential components of these global and regional agreements. Because of the perilous efforts of illicit arms proliferation, not just in Liberia but a global challenge, systemic measures aimed at curbing the misuse of arms is very fundamental to Liberian partners. Liberia, as a sovereignty, and realizing the importance of national security interests, is moving ahead to ensure that the President's Executive Order No. 141 on mandatory registration of firearms and civilian possession is fully implemented. While it is true that the Commission takes full responsibility for the firearms registration exercise, let it be known that the Liberia National Commission on Arms, the Liberia National Police, are partnering and both play a major role in bringing the exercise to fruition. Since the civilian arms registration was launched on March 2025, the LMP, along with other national security actors, have demonstrated positive actions in ensuring that the procedure is fully successful. Please note, members of the press and our precious citizens, in the registration of firearms, that the registration of firearms will cover two categories of civilian firearms. And that includes the single barrel shooter gun, primarily for hunting, recreational activities, and traditional ceremonies is the first category. While the 1.16 millimeter and 9 by 19 millimeter pistols are intended for individuals with special needs. And that includes former government officials, officials of government, prominent citizens, private citizens, business people, as well as other officials. For the Commission to grant the right to possess firearms to any of its citizens, he or she must express interest through a formal application to the Arms Commission. The Commission will give such person an application form to be filled in, including information about the procedure and the list of requirements to accommodate the application. In this process, the Commission's intelligence officers and the LMP, along with other national security actors, including local community leaders, will carry out a thorough background check to determine beyond reasonable doubt that one who has applied meets the basic criteria, and as such is eligible for firearms. Distinguished members of the press, the Commission and its national security partners are aware of the tedious tax surrounding the civilian arms sexual exercise. There are those who may want to evade the exercise by establishing what we call black market. Those want to manage the Commission's efforts and credibility. Such market will fuel illegal circulation of firearms and worsen security risks and breed criminality in the country. To this end, the caveat is not safe. Stop. And that anyone or individual or institution both in this uncompromised full weight of the law take its course. Let it be known that the Commission and the Liberal National Police, along with other national security institutions, for this arms registration exercise, have stepped up strong security measures to safeguard the process. Our intelligence is strong and will achieve its intended objective without being involved. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the press, the Commission is strongly determined to work with stakeholders at both local and national levels, raising awareness for our people to do the right thing regarding the arms registration exercise. This is not about one of the obvious. As you may know, in Liberia, there's always been cases on the other side. Let me inform you further, members of the press, that in keeping with the President's Executive Order No. 141, Commission, through the help of local leaders, has embarked on the physical registration of single firearms in one county. The process is a pilot exercise, which has some challenges. The registration team of the Arms Commission was able to fully register approximately marked and admitted into the database 236 single firearms. The registration team of the Arms Commission for Hunters comprises the Armed Forces of Liberia, the Liberal National Police Small Arms Division, the Liberal National Commission of Arms. Other security agencies were also involved, but on the basis of specialty and shared intelligence. Most of the registration exercise, the Commission has received hundreds of applications for people with special needs, but the Senate said to obtain license and permit for people wanting the 1.16 millimeter and 19 by 1 millimeter pistols. I did different. People in this category are thoroughly investigated as they go through background checks, submit to special police training, which time storage as well is considered very high. Distinguished members of the press, the Commission intends to pursue the path of educating the public relevant awareness as I'm doing here today, to ensure that the message of arms registration resonates. The Commission will create an enabling environment for our people who are going through the registration exercise. Members of the full state Commission headquarters will be open at all times of what may arise and of interest of purpose of information. The Commission is engaging the relevant security actors and stakeholders on the way forward, as it is known that the President's Executive Order No. 141 expires in February 2026 of this year. To conclude, ladies and gentlemen, first, the Liberian government is cognizant of the safety of its people everywhere. And we show the process leading from citizens bearing arms under the laws made by the federal. Let me again single out, in strongest terms, this is not about the regular commodity. when everyone applies, they believe he or she should be entitled to loan. This is not about the common marketplaces where we go to buy our commodities. This is about the interest and safety of the state. You will be scrutinized, you will be vetted, and everything you think about you that are secret, you will, I think, it will show the process. The Honorable Minister of Information for sure.
Opportunity in Mario to put the question. I'm very sure you put down the notes. You have some questions for our distinguished speakers. You have to do so in time. We will be 2 o'clock.
Thanks, Council.
We will pass the 2 o'clock mark. It's already 20 minutes or 2, so we are hoping that you can please limit your questions to 1 question per speaker. Then we can have the response, we can go to press conference for 2. Our questions will go. I want to say thank you for the program you for my personal count on the some policy. So I want to know, are there any specific policy or short-term relief funds then consider to improve working conditions, salary, and benefits of citizens? That's what. Thank you for running this research. That's also non-financial. Based on the number we are considering, I'm very sorry.
How many arms have you registered since the executive order 141 have been passed?
Thank you. Next question. Get to the point.
My name is Joseph Salif and I report for the newspaper. My question goes to the Director General of the CSA. On the 15th of December, you not launch, but you provided the personnel verification report to some land ministry and agency like the Ministry of Posts, the Small Arms Commissions, and there were some recommendations. For the Ministry of Posts, you recommended that over 84 employees should be recommended for dismissal, and 19 should be suspended. And also at the Armed Commissions, you recommended that there were some credential issues where there were a lot of people at that commissions that could not show visible credentials. How far are we with that exercise? Thank you.
Thank you. The next person. Get to the point.
Thank you. My name is Desmond Nguyen. I represent Democracy Watch newspaper. My concern goes to the Small Arms Commission. Thanks, Anthony, for that presentation. Now that you reported in total of 236 arms that have been registered since the President Executive Order, how many arms or how many illegal arms that have been recovered? And should, in case the issue about illegal arms remain widespread, should the commission or will the commission take full responsibility of institutional failure?
Next person. Get to the point.
All right.
Very brief.
Thanks, Okande. I'm Otis Nax Jr. and I report for Sapa TV Liberia. To the CSA DG, can you provide recent statistics on payroll cleanup and the amount of public funds saved so far? Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jackson Ali Siafa. My question goes to Dr. Josiah Jokai. Thank you, sir. Yeah, so you made mention of the loan stream, which is very important for civil servants and public workers. Then my question is about the contingency of such that it may not be a burden on the government in the future. In the case of dismissal, suspension, or death, who take responsibility if someone happens to take a loan for a year or plus?
Thank you.
So my name is James Mbala and I report for Rural George Africa in Magibi County. My question goes to Director Jokai. Chief, the issues of the one child, one chair policy were introduced as a result of people refusing to declare their assets, and the government took action against them, and that's what brought the one child, one chair policy. Now, are there posted in government who are not yet declared their assets, and
what is the next plan so that we can produce more chairs for the children?
Thank you. My name is George Salif, and I report for Quality Newspaper. My questions go to Director Chuka. I'm concerned about the issue of decentralizations because I listened to you spoke about your employees going at various ministries to integrate those government employees into the payment system. Are you thinking about decentralizing your staff in those rural places? Thank you.
That's perfect. Straight to the point.
Good morning. My name is Joseph Sally, and I report for Lata FM and TV. My question goes to the Summer Arms Commission. Sir, I want to know, since your appointment at the Summer Arms Commission, were you able to identify maybe within the registration process, or who are those that were not vetted, they had maybe character or some kind of scandal on them? Were you able to identify some since you're a senator at the commission?
Thank you. My name is Gabriel Biowachino, and I report for Answer Media Network. My question goes to the Commission on Summer Arm. How often can an arm be renewed or be re-registered after its previous registration?
Thank you.
My name is Arena Ekwepogi, and I report for Blaze FM. My question is directed to Minister Pia. Minister Pia, we always come in here and then you are giving us some of the initiatives that institutions or agencies are undertaking at their various institutions. But Liberians want to know what are some of the initiatives that the Liberian National Housing Authority, headed by Madam Florence Jibe, what are some of those initiatives that Liberian NHA? So that's my concern.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Christopher Besman, and I report for Inside Liberia. My question goes to the Summer Arm Commission. With the brilliant presentations you've made, I didn't hear anything about your offices in the sub-region, in the 15 political sub-region of Liberia. So I want to know, how do you go about soliciting information when it comes to illegal arms possession? Thank you.
A post-verification engagement, they made all their inputs, we finalized the report. So officially, we are doing our report presentation today. And it's intended to improve the personnel system of the institutions. And I agree with you, decentralization is still an issue, and it's a challenge. I'm going to say this publicly. We have regional offices. The first thing I would say is that only one of the offices belongs to the government, the one in Toppenberg for the Western region. You know, that's for Bapolo, Cape Mon, you know, and bombing. And it's right in Toppenberg. So this government has put money in the budget for us to renovate the one in bombing, you know, make it fully operational, functional, put in all the infrastructure that we need. But the other three offices across the country are still being leased. It is something that we are discussing with the Ministry of Finance so that the government can have our own civil service regional offices, because civil service takes care of the workforce, and many of the services should be provided within the counties and the regions. We don't have to burden our people to be coming to Monrovia as a national service center, no. So we are working on our decentralization plan, and I'm very hopeful that this is going to yield positive results in terms of getting the resources to decentralize. But for the LPA, which is your focus, and I understand that our teams are going from ministries, agencies to commissions here in Montserrado. We are going to officially launch the LPA as we officially launch it here in Central Liberia, in Banga, meaning that we are bringing all the stakeholders, we are bringing the vendors from those counties into Banga. When we officially launch, our teams from the regional offices will also be trained, as we have trained the teams here, to deploy the POS, LPA POS machines that will be configured for the businesses in those places. Our people don't have to come to Monrovia to benefit from the LPA system. No, it's going to be decentralized across the country. So the One Child, One Chair project, let me clarify that the seizure of salaries from some of my colleagues did not establish that program. That program was established prior. The president already had that in place. All the president mandated us to do was to produce additional chairs under that arrangement. So it was on the basis of that we purpose, based on the amount that we raised, to produce about 1,000 chairs for the kids under the One Child, One Chair presidential initiative, which was already established before the seizure of the salaries. But talking about whether or not we seize more salaries, we don't hope, we don't pray to seize more salaries. No. In the event that it happens, yes, we'll move there. Currently, we're working with the LRA on the tax regime, how people should pay taxes and to ensure compliance. So those kinds of things we do. It is realistic, but we don't go looking for people who violate, so we collect money from them. No. If the president takes action and part of it has to do with our mandate as the civil service agency managing the government centralized payroll, then we implement. The loan scheme, you talk about the facility. If people happen to benefit from the loan, say Mary takes a loan and, of certain amount, and they have to be dismissed. All of these things are in the agreement that we enter into with the banking institutions. There are collaterals that are provided by the employees. The civil service agency is just making sure that the process is coordinated. It's coordinated so that we can give security to the banks because we have the payroll. Anything agreed to in terms of how much you pay through your repayment arrangement, the civil service makes the deduction before your salary is paid. But don't forget also that when there are death-related issues, we keep you on the payroll for like 3 months. So part of it goes. It's not just for the loan, but for other financial facilities that you are benefiting from. Those are some of the securities. And these things are not done just between the individual employee and the banking institution. It is an agreement between the CSA and the banking institutions on behalf of the employees. So there is security, there is guarantee for payment. So Otis, you talk about payroll cleanup stats. So what we're going to do, part of it, the focus is going to be on 2026. As I speak to you, we have already requested our payroll section to run. Every time we begin the year, we can run what we call the deduplication system through the payroll so that it identify everybody who have duplicate accounts. Say if you have shared bank account, Minister Pierre and I have the same account no matter our salary going to. That's a cause for concern. That system will flag. Sometimes we found up to 100, 150 people with that situation on the payroll. So we are about to run it. When we also run it, we found people who actually their names on the payroll 3, 4, 5 times, double dipping. We'll do that at the beginning of the year, and we make sure that we get that information. But there are other initiatives we're taking. People are now smarter from what we did in 2024. Going to work, staying there, making sure that their time is accounted for, and then the HRS, 10% was being deducted from HRS. If you don't submit your report on time, it was being deducted. All those things stay within the system. We're not pulling that out. People, according to the Human Resource Policy Manual, people receive deductions. If you stay away for 3 days on excuse, the policy manual says how much should be deducted. Those things are happening. Prorating of salaries, we're doing that. But in terms of the total, that analysis is going to be captured in our annual report that we are publishing shortly. I don't want to be calling numbers from my head, but everything is detailed in our annual report that is coming. Next week, we'll be printing the annual report, and we might even present the annual report here as we did in 2024. We presented it right here. This was the first place we brought a batch of our annual report and presented and discussed. So we go to Joseph. Joseph, you talk about the verification reports, recommendations being implemented. Indeed. And I'd like to say that we have conducted the personnel and credential verification at close to 40 entities. We have presented the reports. Each of those entities, we have a specialist from CSA assigned to them to guide them through the implementation of the recommendations, including the Liberian National Commission on Arms, I don't know, coincidentally, you highlighted the linker here. I can tell you truly that we have had the post report presentation meeting to tell you the extent of the seriousness of the implementation of the recommendation. If you go on the CSA page right now, you want to see it. If you go on my page right now, you see it. My official government page, you will see it on social media. We had a meeting with the chairman, with the vice chairman, with the commissioner at the Civil Service Agency on the implementation process. This meeting was just held just a few days ago. So I can tell you that the recommendations will be scrupulously implemented. Some of the places that operated internal payrolls, supplementary payrolls, our recommendation said you should collapse them. We are working with them this year. They have submitted now the additional payroll to collapse the payrolls into one payroll. It's by law, and we are implementing them. So implementations are going on. So somebody asked, that's the last question. It was first, but it's the last. That's Darius. Yes, Darius asked specifically if there are policies to improve salaries to improve services and wages for employees. Yes, all the reforms we are taking, the reforms are ongoing because of policies. We develop the policies, we adopt the policies, those that require approval, presidential approval, they are approved. For example, the national consultancy policy. When we talk about in 2024, what happened? We realized that 1,000 consultants were being paid $6.1 million. We shut it down. We reform it. We develop a policy officially launched by the president. That has improved consultancy from 1,000 today. I can report to you only 103 consultants are across the entire government. From $6.1 million, only $1.6 million that the government is paying. That is significant. So what it's doing, focusing on performance linked to payment. Otherwise, you're not going to be paid. So we have the CIMT that we have developed, the Compliance and Integrity Management Division of CSA is the one that's going to be responsible for all civil service related accountability integrity processes. That's the policy is being adopted, and now the division is being set up. So yes, all those things will ensure that what people deserve is what they will earn. Qualified people are brought into the system. Yes, there are policies. There are many, but I'm not going to take up the time. But I want to say thank you very much to all of you who asked the questions and all of you who attended. Yeah.
Okay, I have a few minutes before we go to the news. I just want you to be fast with the question I will ask before Ben comes.
Okay.
Because we who are managing government institutions have a problem with that. In June, when government employees were paid, there were a number of persons whose pay were short by certain amount.
Yes.
In the Ministry of Information, now person were affected.
Yes.
From June to now, they might be paid.
Yeah.
In December, when you were changing from
The ATAPs to the CSM.
there are multiple people across government, including here,
Yeah.
who did not get paid and they are not getting paid.
Yeah.
What has been done to resolve these two issues?
Okay, so we made special requests. We made special requests to the Office of the Comptroller and Accountant General to address the issue because First Minister, the problem has been the allotment. I know that they will argue that it's in the compensation line. Yeah, but even if it is in the compensation line, when we pass the pay period, for accountability purposes, when such request is generated, IAA has to approve and give us certificate before we can even develop vouchers to go to the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning. So that process now is going to be changed. It's one of the reasons why the CAG is at the CSA right now. That's one of the critical issues we identified from 2025 to arrest the situation and make sure that we don't create complications. Complications in the sense that when they miss it, when we develop the voucher to go to Ministry of Finance writes back and say, where is the allotment? And the reason is that some of those monies were being moved. They were being moved, especially when 1 month passes, 2 months passes, some of those amounts can be moved to different, it's not the CS, it can be moved. And sometimes the Ministry of Finance will give justification for that hanging to improve your own compensation. I think you heard the ministry saying before that institutions should live within, their compensation structures, but that's not an excuse. It is an issue that I am recognizing, and I appreciate the question, but something is being done to address that situation so we don't experience it in 2026. Those in that situation, we are generating a special request and saying what the requirement is to pay them those amounts that we owe them. There are a few of them around, like you mentioned.
Again, I'm here, and let me say this very quickly. On the issue of decentralization, I don't know who asked the question. We are presently located in Bapulu County, Lofa County, and that of Bong County. So we are in 3 counties at the moment. The issue of decentralization is not just about grabbing your bag and moving somewhere. You're talking about compensation, you're talking about accommodation, and the way forward. It's a bit, process, as opposed to just being perceived as an event undertaken by somebody. On the issue of taking responsibility for illegal weapons, let me tell you my real side of it. I hate liars. I hate criminals. I hate people who try to behave as if they're smarter than the state. There's no one smarter than the state. And this caveat goes to those who are in the habit and believing and thinking that they can keep weapons without bringing their weapons for registration. Stop. Because upon the expiration of the Executive Order 141, stronger measures will be taken. I have personally placed calls on people to come. Not just that, but there are people holding weapons and having expired licenses and permits. What are you doing that for? What is the primary reason for which you don't want to be accounted? The Commission on Arms is not there to just sit and talk about mere registration. This is not a school process. It's about security. If you are in possession of a weapon and you can't come up, at the end of the day, when we figure out some of the consequences, the press or journalists ask me whether we're going to take some responsibility, you will take greater share of the responsibilities. This is not about trying to appease you. This is about national security. I repeat, come out. Be safer enough. Be nationalistic enough. No one wants to insinuate, and let us not be perceptionally driven. It's not about you. Now they say about me or her. It's about the country. It's citizens and foreign residents as well. We're talking about security in nature. The issue of guns, and you want to sit there and think that somebody's going to appease you to come to register the weapon? We have records. I am not going to disclose to you the records we have and the individuals we know. We have placed calls on them, some former government officials. You better come out. I'm again calling you. You better come out and stop the shenanigans. We will not appease you. That is not about appeasement. We know people who are in possession of guns. You have to come out. And we are very unapologetic about this. There's no other way we're going to say it. There's no other way we're going to paraphrase it other than telling you, be safer, be nationalistic, come out and do your registration. We want to know what you have. To those in hiding, we already know what you have. When the time comes, this is a government. I'm a lawyer. We'll obtain such warrants and we'll move on you. Whether you like it or not. This is a caveat. Whether you former officials of government, you better come out. There's a flip side of it. And we are very serious about it. On the number of weapons received during our registration process, I mentioned it, 239. But I'm talking about hunting guns in Bong County. In Monrovia, we've received applications for special needs. That is the point I'm making. We don't have hunters here. So there are people here who have guns. Our records shows in the database that there are people in Monrovia who has guns. We are appealing to you to come. Use the president's executive order. Number 141. Let this period of time encourage you to come forth. Because they are exempt. They are keeping exempted. Nobody going to ask you and stop. To those of you quick to misinterpret, misinform, and spread the lies, stop. Now, one Liberian or foreign resident is going to be held accountable in any wrong way should you come out to do your registration within the period as enshrined in the president's executive order. But when you think you are Superman or Superwoman and you can maneuver your way, you're on the wrong trajectory. Honorable Minister of National Defense, members of the full estate, I think.
When you know, NSA office, go there, ask Florence, say, what do you not do? I want to. The father, I say, yeah, me, she give it to me. Now, who ask a question? Yeah, go to Florence, she will tell you what you can do, yeah? Hey, fair. I know, I can tell you what they didn't tell me. They want to tell me that one can say it. The headquarters, in fact, the controller again that they talking from NSA. If you know Florence, I can send you to tell you there so you can have conversation. Okay? You have a good day.